Boston is ambitious. It's an ambitious city, and there's a kind of drive pushing people constantly. So I think part of the work of the arts is to interrupt that pace, especially for people who want to be formed into the likeness of Jesus. You got to slow down, because Boston's just like, and that's not what life with Jesus is like. It requires a different pace to learn how to pray, to learn how to meditate on the scriptures, to learn how to walk in wisdom, to learn how to love your neighbor. You got to slow down. I'm glad you're here. Come on in. Welcome, y'all. Welcome to House Moot.
Yeah.
Woo! Church of the Cross Arts Ministry evening together. Let's start with this liturgy to begin a purposeful gathering. And so are we gathered here. Uniquely in all of history, we particular people in this singular time and place.
Accomplish your purposes among us, O God.
Among us are some who arrive anxious, some who are lonely, some who suffer pain or sorrow. O Father, enlarge our hearts. O Spirit, expand our vision. O Christ, establish your kingdom among us. Be at work even now, O Lord. May your will in us in these hours be accomplished. Amen. At this point, I've come to realize how much arts ministry is also hospitality. So I think cultivating a space that's warm and welcoming and full of delights and a bit extravagant is really important for how we welcome artists in. So we call it the Arts Collective. It's a 4 or 5 week small group where working artists are welcome. They come to my house right here. We have a meal and we have some homework each week, articles to read, books we read together, maybe a short film we might watch, poems to read, scriptures to meditate on. So we do that all on our own during the week, and then we come together, share a meal, and have a facilitated discussion. And the whole collective kind of shaped by a curriculum we inherited from the Boston Fellows Arts cohort. So these 4 weeks, it's just like the big story of the Bible. It's creation, fall, redemption, new creation. So each week has a theme. We're interacting with creative work that's happening right now that's done by Christians or non-Christians, and then we're imagining, okay, what is God doing in us? What is God calling us in our own craft to grow in? How can we pour out?
We want to care for artists and the art they do in a God-honoring, God-glorifying way. We're made in the image of our Creator, and part of our calling as His image bearers is to express that creativity. And some of us, that's more of the calling, our creative, innovative gifting is part of our work, and more so than maybe other professions or callings in life. And we do see a lot of that in Boston. We have a lot of innovative, creative folks, people in biotech and business and in all kinds of fields where it's just, wow, there's just so much creativity and innovation. We see that in our people and in the arts.
Came to Church of the Cross already practicing writing poetry a good bit, but stepped into a church where there was already something of an arts community happening at Church of the Cross that I just got to kind of step into and enjoy. And even the very first Sunday we visited Church of the Cross, we were working at L'Abri, and we came into the city to visit the cool Anglican church in downtown Boston. And the service, I was very familiar with Anglican liturgy at this point. It was just artfully done. It was beautifully crafted. There were creative moments throughout that I just thought, I could really be at home here. And that has played out. because I got to be more involved with the artistic endeavors at Church of the Cross. And then as I began to sense a call to be ordained, I went to the Bishop Steve at the time, and said, I feel called to write. I feel called to work with artists and to be somehow like pastorally present to artists. Is this a thing? Could this be like a deacon? Could this be deacon craft? And he said, yes, absolutely. So I feel called to write, and I want to make spaces where artists are welcome and experience formation and growth and the joy of being an artist who's following Jesus. I think there's a slow growth at work. It feels like a community is gathering, a community of folks who are honoring each other's creative work, challenging each other to grow, and learning how this is worship, how this is our vocation as humans, to be creative and to pour out for Jesus.
We really fell in love with the spirit of worship at Church of the Cross, and that's what drew us in, and it's broader than the music. We come from different church backgrounds. I grew up in a church where the music was quite plain, and music can be such a double-edged sword in a way, because when it's really excellent, it can become an idol. And so as much as my family kind of jokes about those experiences back then, like, remember that Sunday, it was pretty rough, you know, we had to start that song over. It taught me to have a simplicity in my spirit of worship. Like, no matter what's going on, I'm worshiping you, God. But then at the same time, you know, we're called to make a joyful noise, and skilled players are invited to help lead in worship, and beauty glorifies the Lord. I mean, anything that's played well is just a testament to the beauty and complexity of our God. We seek to hold both the simplicity of the spirit of worship and also goodness and beauty and truth. I think it's part of our hospitality and how we welcome people in. Our church is really open to worshiping in a variety of genres, and I think that is a really helpful way to welcome people in from different backgrounds.
One of the beautiful things about Church of the Cross and what I'm seeing in other places around New England is that the people that are here really care about their faith, and they want to know what difference their faith makes in their daily lives and in their interactions with their neighbors. And so the opportunity to be salt and light, when you have light in the midst of a lot of darkness, people pay attention to that and it starts to grow. The health of Church of the Cross is something that is deeply encouraging to me, to my family, to friends outside of Church of the Cross. We had my son Harry get baptized this past January, and family came up from Maryland and from North Carolina, and they were just blown away by Church of the Cross and really felt the Spirit move. To the point that it becomes a joke amongst Church of the Cross staff that this is the church you bring your parents to and they cry during the service. But that's just been so many people's experience. We're creating space for people to receive Jesus and to hear from word and table what they desperately need.
I mean, I am so convinced that, yeah, making and creating and the arts are going to be part of a great renewal in this generation and the next, because people are hungry for order and beauty and meaning and coming up a little empty with regard to what else they're being given right now. So I think there's a swell happening.
But yeah, when I talk to my charismatic friends, they're like, that a new awakening is coming. So let's be ready. So are you going to be ready when people start coming into the church? And we want to be ready if that's the case. We're praying for that. And we're not just sitting passively. We want to be out in word and deed, on mission with Jesus. But we also want to be ready to receive people when and if God brings people to Christ, and they need to be discipled and formed in an Anglican way. We want to be ready, and that's what we're doing.
Whenever we're doing random things like this, Ernie, Buddy and I look at each other and we'll say, I'll be like, hey Buddy, what are you doing? He'll be like chopping garlic for dinner or something. Be like, I'm planting a church. Like the random things that we do.
But one of the things that God's given us is this incredible opportunity to be on Main Street. And there's this kind of alleyway that goes from a parking lot to Main Street. And I noticed when we were moving in one time back in April that on Thursday nights, half the university is out going and getting drunk. They call it Thirsty Thursdays. And so this fall, we started just getting together in the alley with cornhole first, and then we brought a propane fire pit out with s'mores and some hot cider. And I go out there in our collar, and some students join me, but we'll be out there till 1 a.m. just having conversations with people, offering s'mores and hospitality on Main Street. And they're some of the best gospel conversations I've had my entire life. We've been able to talk to people, and honestly, you end up preaching the gospel all night, not because we bring it up, but because wearing my collar, people ask me about it all night. And it's been a pretty incredible experience.
Well, I think having conversations about God, life, and politics with drunk college students at midnight is always an eye-opening experience and can be very entertaining and a little bit scary at the same time. We always get a message the next morning as a staff, and Brandon always says it was a wild night.
Yeah, you know, I've been here a year, and I'm not saying that I'm the factor in this, but in the year I've been here, we've almost doubled in size. And what I think we're seeing is people with this sort of innate understanding in their souls that something isn't right, something is off, and they don't really know what it is, but they're looking for an answer to whatever that is. So on Thursday nights, we're out with all the students that are out partying, and that's the constant conversation with intoxicated college students at midnight is, I hate my major and I don't want to be doing this, but I don't really know what to do with my life. I'm not sure where I'm going. This doesn't feel like it matters. Like those kinds of conversations. So I think there's just a general yearning, especially among student age, that population.
If you are under the age of like 13, I believe Miss Nina has.
And I think it's probably the same for other age groups. You know, our church has a ton of young families with kids, and I think, you know, as a parent myself, I can just sort of look at what's happening in the world, and it feels like, man, everything is roiling and boiling and shaking, and is there anything that is set in stone? And so the church has an answer to that, to say, yes, in fact, there is. Jesus Christ, right, is the cornerstone.
Son and Holy Ghost. Amen.
There have been a lot of people who have no context for church whatsoever. There's kind of a few, there are certain people who maybe have like a negative context or have had some wounding from the church or some sort of stereotypes about established religion. And then we have this group of people who's really a generation that's grown up without church, without their parents going to church, with sort of no context or category for what religious life looks like. And I think what we've seen, being particularly in a small, semi-urban area, in a university town, is there's just so much curiosity, and there's so much, Brandon used the term at one of our vision nights, being haunted by transcendence, to be a part of that journey with people who are just coming in totally open-minded and they haven't been formed at all. And that's been a bit surprising too. As a staff, we all have a very strong affinity for spiritual formation and theological formation, and so to have a community of people who've really not been formed at all in the Christian faith has been just a great opportunity for us to be creative in how we engage and how we think about what is going to serve them best and bring them closer to Jesus.
I find that these students really want to engage in good faith conversations. They're genuinely curious honestly, Brandon being out here with a collar is really helpful because, number one, I think that tends to break down the stereotype that people tend to have about pastors and about priests. And so a guy who's out there just willing to be present and to engage and to listen, a humble yet bold way is really attractive to them.
The people that are coming into GBA are either new to the faith or were in the church and have left and are coming back, and that's been a real gift. Not that, you know, we don't want folks that are exploring our tradition, that's amazing, but a lot of our growth has been people that have no knowledge of the church or have never been in church or have left and for whatever reason are coming back, and so that's been a real gift.
You want to be in a place where people will just stumble over you. You're there. You're not in the woods somewhere. You're where people are going to fall right over you, and that's what the alley is all about. There are students coming through here all the time, and they see and they're wondering. And people are. I remember as somebody said to our pastor, "What are you doing in here?" And he said, "We're starting a church." And the guy was just kind of, "Church? That's unusual, you know? That's not the kind of thing people expect to see downtown in Durham, New Hampshire."
They talk about New England as hard ground, and there's some truth to that. In our pastors' meeting the other week, made the point that if you look at the desert, right, and the desert gets no rain, but when it does get rain, there are like wadis and dried stream beds, and the water finds those and it knows where to go. Even if it hasn't rained in months or years, when it does rain, the water finds those paths. And he compared that to New Hampshire and to revival, and he said, you know, revival is not foreign to New Hampshire. We had the Great Awakening that was here in New England. And he said, I wonder if, as much as we talk about how hard the ground is here, I wonder if there are stream beds that are dry and are overgrown and they're covered in all kinds of junk. But if the Spirit, God would pour his Spirit out, I wouldn't be surprised if it found those stream beds, because it's happened here before. It's been a long time, but there's a deep history of that here. And so as we're ministering and we're trying to be a gospel presence in our community, that's something that we're praying for, is, in whatever word, if it's revival or outpouring of the Spirit, whatever, but there's a history of that here, and I tend to agree with this pastor friend that I think, you know, should God decide to pour his Spirit out in a really profound way, I think those waters could easily find the stream beds. And so we're praying for that.
I think most people just, in our diocese, don't know what's going on here. No, go ahead. And sometimes I want them to know what the investment of the diocese means, if that makes sense. You know, like, this is the kind of work that we do is like only possible because of the diocese, and it's good to be able to tell them that story. I'm gonna grab some more cider and stuff, okay?
You grab the cider now?
Yeah.
One of my roles as dean is, even before I was dean, for about the last 8 years, I've been praying about Providence, Rhode Island. I've been praying that God would just begin to do a work here. A couple things about Providence that I love is where it's located, kind of central to Boston, and where I am in Bridgeport is about 2 hours from here and just a little ways from Boston. It's the third largest, but really the second largest city in all of New England. Worcester, Mass is right there with it, so they're kind of 2-3 back and forth. And there's about 190,000 people in just Providence proper, which is much smaller than the largest city, Boston, but for a New England city is big. And it's a college town. There are 11 university and colleges and a couple of trade schools like Brown, Providence College, Providence Institute for Design. There's just a lot of great community here. And in Providence, the median age is 32. And so it's a young place with a lot of energy, kind of like an urban area would be. So I've been drawn to this place for a long time and been praying for it for a long time. And what we're trying to do in Providence is get people that may be interested in planting a church here. The vision for how to do it gets a little tricky because I'm 2 hours away as the dean in Bridgeport, Connecticut. And so what we need to do is to get people that are interested to come to me. And so what I'm trying to do is talk to pastors, talk to anyone in our diocese who could potentially know people that might be here in Providence and get them together to talk about the vision and talk about what the process for an Anglican church plant would be. And so in our terminology in the diocese, we're looking to try to form an interest group and to see who might be interested. There's one Anglican church about 40 minutes, say, west of here, but from a Rhode Island perspective, that would be hard from people from where we're standing right here at Pedestrian Bridge, kind of in the heart of Providence. That's a long way to travel. That probably won't happen. And so the next closest church that I know of is Church of the Cross in Boston. And so there is a lot of space here for an Anglican church. In a city this size, to not have an Anglican church in Providence that I know of, an ACNA church, it would be good to have them. Providence is like a lot of cities in New England, and where their denominational churches are dying. They're shrinking out, and yet we find that there's still a hunger for that, to have a gospel orthodox, vibrant expression of the faith in a denominational church. There's a lot of work to be done in the gospel, especially amongst young peoples, to consider faith again. Whether it starts with a broader spirituality and they're drawn into a relationship with Jesus, we need to pray for Providence and for Boston and for Bridgeport and for all over the Northeast, Ithaca and Rochester and all points in between, all along the I-90 corridor and all through New England. So I'm asking that from our diocese that if you'd pray for New England and the Northeast and pray that God would reveal his plan. He has a plan for this place, we know it, that he'd reveal it, that we'd be able to discern it well, and then have the courage to follow him in it, whatever that might look like.